We kind of got a little surprise for you. Let her fry. First thing right off the bat, I want to thank everyone for joining us today through our journey through life on a farm. Today we're going to be processing some hog fat and turning it into hog lard. And we sure appreciate you joining us. So come along with us and we'll all try to have a good time. Well, folks, we're getting ready to get this party started. We have 50 pounds of fat here, pork fat, and it's still kind of froze, so we're going to have to try to get that apart. But we're going to use an electric roaster today because when you do it on a stove, you can do it, but it's really, really easy to burn. So the best method you could do is an electric roaster. We got to get started by pouring in 2 cups of water. Then we're going to turn this baby up to like 350 degrees. Because like the neighbor said, we want to get her Cadillacing. We're going to start tearing this apart. I don't know. This might be too froze yet. We'll see. It's coming. When you get this all done with and you got it rendered down, and you'll get some wonderful, wonderful cracklings out of that. You can't beat them putting them in a pan of cornbread. And anybody from the South know what I'm talking about. Cracklings and cornbread. It don't get no better than that. Folks, there's one great advantage about hog lard. They've been preaching to everybody for the last 30 years that grease will kill you, lard will kill you. But then they'll turn around and say, well, you need more omega-3 fatty acids. Hog lard is the highest omega-3 fatty acid known to man. It's higher than fish. But they say, well, it's a solid fat. Well, olive oil, they'll push that, which is good. And that's still like 24 or 27% solid fat. That's one thing they don't tell you. But I believe in my heart, God made olive oil for the Jews. He made hog lard for the Gentiles. Fat is very, very important in your life. They push us high carbs, low fat, and look at everybody. And I'm one of them. Went by that pyramid. When you go to that pyramid, it looks like this. That's what your hind end is going to look like, the bottom of that pyramid. You need to change that around, eat less carbs, more fat, more protein, and you'll be healthier. They know your mind works better, and you'll have overall better health. That's my opinion. That's the studies I've done, that I went through, not what a lot of certain called specialists tell you. We're getting it one chunk at a time. Folks, I'd like to just say that I switched over to a keto diet a few weeks ago, and I'm going to stick with that. You'll feel better. You feel healthier. You'll lose weight. And one more thing, I switched over to an ice cream scoop because we don't want to get flagged for wheeling a knife around and stuff. So if we offended anybody, we forgive us for that. We didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try to use this ice cream. This is probably better anyway because it's sturdier than a knife. Folks, the reason why we put 2 cups of water in here is to keep this from sticking off the bat. But you want to leave this off until your water boils all out. It'll cook all out because you do not want no moisture in your fat, because you try to use that little splatter and blow up your face and everything else. It will probably turn it down to like 225, 230, and we'll let it render at that temperature. Okay, since we have this roaster full, what we're going to try, I've never done this before, but I got a big wood stove in the shop, and it's got a second cabinet around, so it won't boil nothing, but it'll get it really hot. So I'm going to try to put a lot of this lard right out there instead on top of my wood stove, and I'll let you know how that turns out. We'll all see together. And if it's a flop, it'll be a flop. But if it works, then I know that it works. So let's give it a shot. We have nothing to lose, because I can always bring it back in here if it don't actually melt down. When this is all done, I can redo it in this. Folks, We couldn't get any more off this frozen block. This thing froze harder than a pump handle in January. We can't get nothing else off of this. So I'm just going to take what I got right here, and I'm going to take it out there and put it on top of the wood stove, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to set her right there, and we'll see if it starts rendering down or not. Because this stove will not get it hot enough to boil, because it's double lined, but you still got a lot of heat off of it. So I'm going to try it and see what happens. I've never done it before. When all of our fat thawed out, we took it out of here and cut it up into smaller pieces so it'd render a lot faster. It would have rendered down anyway, but it's a lot faster if you cut it up smaller, which we couldn't do because it was froze this time. So that's what we done. Now, right now you're looking at this, and you can see they're a lot smaller than they were when we put them in there. And these here are just about half done. When they get all brown and crunchy on the outside, then you know all the fat's out of it. It's starting to brown with a deep brown. It's done, and then you can separate all the cracklings from the grease. Now, folks, now we'll show you what they really look like when they're all the way done. And you get a good look at them. And most of them are getting nice and brown. And the amount of cook time will depend on how big a chunks you have, how high you keep your heat up, how much time you got just to sit there and watch them or keep an eye on them, or you can turn them down lower so you don't have to keep such a good eye on them. That all depends what you want to do. As long as they end up looking like this, it don't matter if it takes 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, it doesn't matter. We'll bag these up when they get cold, put them in the freezer, and they last a long time. So I'm going to put some salt on these. Because, folks, I can tell you, I am not going to wait for cornbread to eat some of these. I can tell you that already. I'll probably put these in another bowl with a couple paper towels. Let them suck up the extra grease. And I'll be chewing on some of these before we ever even have a notion of making cornbread. Because these things are really, really, really good eating. Folks, I like you to notice on this here how clear this actually is, which surprised me. Sometimes it's way, way darker than this when you get done. So it doesn't matter. When this cools down to a point where you can handle it safely before it sets up, while it's still liquid, you can pour it through. We'll probably use a milk strainer because we have one, or you can use cheesecloth, or you can use an old t-shirt. Just make sure you wash the t-shirt before you use it. You don't want a sweaty taste on your lard. And you'll be so happy that you've done this, because it takes so little lard to grease a pan. And all them oils, I don't care what kind of bottled oil you want to buy, every one of them cause terrible inflammation in your body. This won't do that. Olive oil don't do that. But we use hog lard, and sometimes we use olive oil for salads and stuff like that. For our cooking, we use hog lard. And all my grandmas lived to be way up in their 90s. They've always used it. So we're going to keep it going. Well, folks, we kind of got a little surprise for you. If you remember, I told you about we was going to try it on top of that wood stove, and I didn't know if it'd get hot enough. Well, it didn't. So we got to thinking, instead of just using the roaster, we're going to try it 2 other ways with what we had out there on the wood stove. Number one, we put some in this kettle. This is the way we've always rendered our lard the whole time I grew up. Put it in there and let her fry. And then we thought, why not try the oven? Maybe you don't have one of these broilers. Maybe you don't have one of these great big giant kettles. But maybe you got some like cake pans, or like a roaster for like a turkey or something. So we thought we'd stick it in the oven. I'll pull her out here a little bit so you can get an eyeball on it. We got the temperature set at 300 on the oven. If I spill any of that grease, I gotta be careful here, or I'm gonna be in big trouble. We thought it'd just be interesting just to try different ways and see which one worked best. This is the one I used when we were growing up. In fact, a lot of times my mom would have us build a fire out in the yard. And we had a great big old kettle. I don't know where she got it. You know, it's big enough almost you take a bath in it. And we throw all that fat in there and render it out right out in the yard, right with wood fire, and really worked well. So I got my strainer all set up. So we're gonna pour that grease into here and get it strained. Folks, now you can see this, we strained it one time. Kind of looks like cooking oil. But we're going to strain it again, and you can look at it when we strain it again. We're going to give her one more pour through, and we'll see what it looks like then. Got a brand new filter in there. Folks, if you don't want to, you don't have to strain this until it's pure white. It'll store just as well, cook just as good. Except when it's snow white, I guess it looks better. But that's just how white you want it. We're ready to pour our lard into these pans. And there's different size pans. You can use whatever pan you want, little ones. Here's a big bread pan. And these you can get at a Locker or an Amazon. They're regular for lard. But I want to tell you, everybody wants clean stuff. But if you wash these, you make sure they're 100% dry. Because if they're not, and this grease is a little hot, and it hits that fat, it's going to jump on you like ugly on a nape. And that nothing worse than a bad burn. So make sure everything is really, really dry. And let this cool down to where it's safe handling. So I'll show you, we'll pour some in now. Now I'm not very good at this stuff, being nice and neat. But since I'm ahead of this episode, I'm going to have to do it. Otherwise, I'd have my wife do it. She got to steady her hand. And we could strain this one more time if we wanted it wider. But I'm satisfied with it like it is. Like I said, I'm just going to pour the remainder of this right in this pan. Oh, that worked out pretty good. And what we got left cooking over here, we'll do the same thing when we're all done. Now that we got it all poured in these pans, you just let it sit here till it cools, starts turning white, and then when it gets cool enough, then you can put it into your refrigerator. But let it cool down a lot before you do that. And folks, as far as I'm concerned, nothing better than hog lard. It just makes everything taste better. It's good for you, regardless of what people say. It's high in omega-3 fatty acids. And if you really look up the research like I've done and ordered books on this kind of stuff, it's good for you. Don't worry about it. Well, folks, this will be the end of the video. We rendered all of our lard down. It was like 50 pounds. And we just want to show you what we got out of that. So you got a lot of hours of cooking before you get rid of all this lard. So now what we'll do, we'll take it out of these pans. We'll cut it and wrap it in wax paper, put it in bags, and then when we need one, you just take one out. And then you just take one at a time. You don't have to take this whole thing out at one time. So that about wraps it all up. We want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for subscribing and share all of our videos to people, because some of them, the people don't know none of this stuff. A lot of people do, but just think of the people in these big cities that's never been around any kind of hogs or cattle or sheep, goats, chickens. So that's one reason why we want to do it, for a lot of educational purposes. And one of the best things about it is we get to hear from a lot of people. I didn't realize that we could hear people from all over the world. They give you comments, and most of them are really nice. You got to throw a few of them, a ringer in there once in a while, but that's okay. If that's the way they believe, that's the way they think. God bless them. I don't have no hatred toward nobody. It'll all get sorted out in the end. So we want to thank you for coming along with us, and may God bless each and every one of you. And I hope you have a very nice day and a very nice week.